Pregame Show Network. I am Tolly Carr, Atlanta, Georgia. We're going live once again because me and Uncle Neely, we had such a great time last week. We just decided, why not do it again? We also kind of have this idea that it works to the little bit of laziness that we have because then we don't have to produce a show, after the fact, and we can just get into it. Right, Neely? We can just do this and then we can go home.
Hey, if you say so, man. I think you also enjoy clapping back live at people in the comments. So that's probably your driver for wanting to go live today.
Bless their hearts.
Not having to edit is a wonderful thing.
It is, man. So I'll tell you what, I talk to the people. I let them know if they have questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat. And I'm trying to find their live stream on the phone as we talk. I will eventually get there. Neely, how's it been going, man? Since the last time we talked, you guys have taken the show on the road. You left the friendly confines of Boulder, if you will, and you got to spread the love across Colorado, man. How did things go with the open scrimmage? What were we at, last Friday night?
Yeah, last Friday night. That's correct. Coach Prime, always is brand conscious and marketing conscious, and felt it would be a good idea for the program and what we're trying to build to showcase what we have in Boulder over in Denver. I know folks out there thinking that, oh man, well, Denver is just 25, 30 minutes away. What big deal is that? Boulder is a small college town. Denver's a booming metropolitan area. So partner with Denver Public Schools to use one of their stadiums for an open practice. There was 5,000 available seats there that you could purchase online, or register online. There was no cost involved. And so all those tickets were gone in 8 hours, and folks showed up and enjoyed the Friday night festivities, man, and got to see the Buffs practice in person.
So, Neely, how would you describe the energy? It's kind of like being on the road with the Beatles, right? Shador, Travis, Coach Prime, and the gang, they all roll into town. Warren Sapp, we see the Mohawk working right there. What was that off the bus type energy?
Well, when you get off the bus, it's just like you said about the Beatles. You hear the names being called and the names being screamed, and people asking for autographs and wanting to stop for pictures. But the players going into practice were locked in on practice mode. It's of course at that point you're 2 weeks away from the first game. Now you're about a week away from the first game. So everyone was locked in, but it was good for the crowd to get to see them, up close, see how we practice. Of course, there were some changes to what we called in practice and what we displayed in practice, because you don't want to give anything away to your opponents early on. So there were some changes to the offense and defense as well. But I think it still gave the people in attendance an opportunity to see how practice is organized, how it's detailed, and even the effort and energy that comes with the practice.
All right, so how was it? Vanilla extract? Was it vanilla bean? Was it vanilla ice cream? Like, how vanilla was it out there Friday?
It was certainly vanilla. Make no mistake about it. You're not going to go out there and show your plays going into a week one opponent, nationally televised game on ESPN against North Dakota State on Thursday, August 29th. You see how I worked that plug in there, Tolly, with all the details? You're certainly not going to do that. So you made some changes as to the way the plays are called versus signals from the sideline or huddling up. You can now use the headsets and the helmets. So there was enough for the Buffaloes to get a good practice and a good workout, but also not enough where someone recording in the stands, would have our playbook.
Well, I'll tell you what they did get. They got 100% Warren Sapp, as we saw that video right there. He was dancing, having a good time. His first foray into coaching on the road, just a little taste of life outside the campus as a college coach. We definitely saw he was enjoying things out there.
Yeah, Warren is, man, a big ball of energy, and the student athletes love him and feed off of it. He runs up and down the field with them and coaches from the field when he can, and sometimes when he shouldn't. But he is a different coach, during the games. We had an on-campus scrimmage, and he's real reserved and quiet. And I asked him about that on Wednesdays with Warren, and he says, look, man, I'm coaching Sunday through Friday. On Saturday, if I still got to yell and instruct and put people in the right positions, we failed all week long. So you don't see, the animated Warren Sapp that you see during practice when we're in game mode.
All right, so thank you guys for hanging out. We are going live here on the Pregame Show Network, our second week in a row. Just some ground rules. We're going to talk about Colorado stuff, right? We're going to talk about storylines and content that you may have missed, and we'll even look forward a little bit, let you know some content that's coming up. And because it's live, we're going to talk about just other stuff. It's just kind of the nature of going live, and things might go off the rails a little bit in the comment section. So, it's all good. Let's say what's up, Neely, to Carl W. I think Carl was the first person to drop in the chat this morning, but we're going to give the first word to Big Mike, and we're going to come back to Carl. We might have started a little bit past 1 o'clock Eastern time, maybe a minute or two. And Big Mike had the answer. He said Neely was trapped in Chef's kitchen. And any truth to the fact, the idea, the suggestion that you might have been coming from the cafeteria?
That's not true. Typically, that would be true. Generally speaking, that would be true. 6 out of 7 days of the week, that would be true. But on today, that was not true. Haven't been in the cafeteria since breakfast, but you better believe once we go off this air, the Rewind Live, as Coach Prime would say, Neely don't miss no beat.
I mean, Neely, is 1:11 Eastern. I mean, that means it's just 11 Mountain. Breakfast stops at 10:30. That's an international rule. I mean, for you, breakfast wasn't that long ago.
I don't know what kind of calendar you're on, but in fall camp, man, we start eating about 6 in the morning. It's a different. You think about Wendy's and McDonald's out there in the free world. This is fall camp mode, man. You get to this building about 6 a.m. Meeting start at 7. You try to get your breakfast between 7 and 8. And then it starts back over between 11:30 and say 1:30, then recess with dinner from 5:30 to 7:30. You're going to get them 3 meals in, Tyler.
Okay, so Neely just told on himself. He was actually at brunch. We read between the lines there. All right, the basement wants to know, Neely, your opinion so far on the new senior defensive analyst.
Oh, man, I love the energy, love the resume, love the experience. I called him First Cuz because he spent so much time in Mississippi. We got so many mutual friends in and around Ole Miss football. So have a indirect relationship that we already had established. And man, he's out there coaching. He's running around. He's making suggestions. You get a guy who's come from winning programs like Michigan. He can only have a positive impact on what you're trying to build here.
All right, let's jump around here. Regina Earls, she would like to know, let's give your boy some camera time here. I'm still directing Neely. Miles has not come back from Tokyo. Regina Earls wants to know how Benson is doing. I don't think she's talking about Robert Guillaume. She's talking about another Benson here. How is Benson, first name, last name basis, doing?
I'm assuming she's talking about Khalil Benson, offensive line.
I would assume so. If that's the first Benson that comes to your mind, then yes.
That's the absolute first Benson that comes to my mind. Another homeboy from North Mississippi, up in that North Delta, that South Memphis area. Khalil Benson, man, straight up dog, leadership off the charts. Is very vocal in the offensive line room, and more importantly, leads by example. He's having a great fall camp. He sat out of the public practice the other day because he was nursing a little ding to his elbow. Nothing that would keep him out of the North Dakota State game and performing at 100%, but just one of those rest days for him, like you had with a Travis Hunter at the same time. So everybody can look for Khalil Benson to make a lot of noise in that right guard position.
All right, and just to in case you're watching this late, we might upload this to the site, so you might miss the actual live commentary in the chat like you do if you watch it in the live section of the YouTube channel. So in case you're just seeing this in the regular video section, because Neely don't miss no clicks. He don't miss no meals, and he don't miss no clicks. So this video might find you in a couple different places. So if you don't find the chat to read along with later, as we talk right now, it is a Wednesday afternoon, 1:14 Eastern time. So if you're watching that at any other time, then you're catching it on the rewind. One more from the comments real quick, Neely, and then we'll keep it pushing. Lewis Reddick was a guest. I think we have that content coming out, or maybe just dropped.
Yeah, dropped this morning.
Okay, dropped this morning. So he was there. Following the heels, last week we had Ray Lewis, Louis Riddick this week. Another, person with that NFL cachet. They would like to know in the comments, how did the players react to this week's special guest speaker?
On the edge of their seats. Louis Riddick not only played in the NFL, he is known for his commentary on the NFL via ESPN or many other platforms, and has always been a guy, that is looked at as a general manager. And Coach Prime has even said when he was here doing a production meeting last season, that this guy needs to be a GM in the NFL. He knows what scouting looks like. He knows what player personnel looks like. And so for the players on this team to hear from a guy of his caliber on the steps that it not only takes to make it to the NFL, that you have to do while you're here in college with this season that's in front of you, but also how to stay in the NFL and be a pro and grow. So he had about, a 15-minute message, to the team, and just laid out in bullet point details, 1, 2, 3, this is what it takes. 3, 2, 1, this is what it takes. And had some personal anecdotes in there as well from his own playing experience and just being around the league. So players were on the edge of their seats, man, because anytime, just like with the coaches that are in the building, no one can show you how to get somewhere and they haven't been there themselves. And, so you have this internal GPS here with 2 gold jackets and so much playing experience and even coaching experience in the NFL. And then when these guest speakers come via Zoom or in person, the players know that this is somebody that knows what they're talking about. I need to sit up and listen.
All right, Neely, we talked about this all the way back at Jackson State, how it can just kind of become like a normalized thing that Hall of Famers are dropping in, TV analysts are dropping in, GMs are dropping in, rappers, entertainers, all these people. It can kind of become normal while still exciting. But I wonder, and I don't know if you know the answer, but here's what my brain is thinking as we see this content week in and week out and daily on the Pregame Show Network. What percent is this a normal Big Five or Big Four now, Power Four? All schools have these guys week in and week out, or is this a special tier of the highest level of college football?
Oh, this is no doubt a special tier. I'm like you, Tyler. I refer to it as the Power Four now, not the Power Five. In that Power Four realm, of course, you have players and their coaches who are alums of schools, and they go back and they give pep talks, and you have coaches, you have friends that they can call upon. But there's nobody in the college coaching circuit that has the Rolodex, if I can date myself, that has the contact base of a Deion Sanders. Not only can he call people, but people are calling him volunteering. You look at fellow Hall of Famers that come by. You look at NFL coaches that come by, particularly in the spring when they're in their downtime. You saw this at Jackson State. You see it here at Colorado. Coach Prime's brand and reach are exponential compared to other coaches, and people know that this is the place to be, and all eyes are on Boulder, Colorado, and this football team. And people, the speakers, man, get up for it just as well. And one of the things that you hear the players talk about as they meander through the hallways, that they don't get used to it. As much as they realize this is something that's going to happen daily and weekly, they understand that, man, that's Terrell Owens, man, that's Michael Irvin, that's Warren Sapp, that I can't take these moments for granted. So when I get an opportunity to sit at the lunchroom table with them or walk to the practice field with them, I'm going to pick them from all the information I can, because there is no atmosphere in modern day college football that can bring the attention, the guest speakers, and the knowledge and the relationships that Deion Sanders brings with his program.
But is he coaching, they say? Is he coaching? Is he coaching, Neely?
I think we have answered that, every year that he's been coaching. You see footage, whether it was Jackson State or here in Colorado, how directly he is involved, and not just in defense and not just with the secondary, something he knows well and was the best to ever do at his position. He knows the role of the offensive line and the tight ends and the running backs. Like, he's all over the place coaching. He lets his coaches coach. He lets them lead their rooms. But you better believe this is his team, because as he'll tell you, when we win, everybody gets that credit. But when we lose, there are only 2 people that get the blame. They're both names are Sanders. One is the coach and one is the quarterback.
And just so people will know, Neely, I was being facetious. Okay. Facetious.
I know that, but you have to clarify, because people get on Tolly and say, man, I'm tired of Tolly. Whose side is he on?
America, that was me being facetious. If you want to know how to spell it, ask Neely, that Jackson public school education. comes in.
Hey, no, don't put him on the spot with that one. I can
Hey
barely
Siri,
pronounce that
spell
one.
facetious. She might do it. Neely, let's go to TJ 3600. TJ wants to know, is Micah? I love the community because we're first name basis here. Is Micah going to see the field a lot this year? He looks to be a dog.
Let me tell you this. Coach Brian called up Micah. Well, he's talking about Micah, the running back, by the way. Called up Micah before practice the other day and said, man, I've been forgetting to mention this dog to y'all. Goes about his business quietly, puts in the work, doesn't complain, and he is going to tote that thing for us, and y'all will see him. And he called up Michael Welch, who's out of Georgia, true freshman, to break the team down before practice the other day. So, yes, indeed, you will see Micah featured in the running game as a freshman, because whether it was his early arrival here this spring or the work that he's put in this summer or the work that he's put in these 3 weeks of fall camp, he has earned an opportunity to carry that ball to the ball game.
And your feeling, your confidence level, the Neely meter on the running game, both carrying the ball and protection, sits where? Where does the Neely meter sit roughly 1 week out from the first game of the year?
100% confidence in it. Coach Flea has done an exceptional job getting this room ready. Y'all may recall back this spring when you had a mass exodus from the running back room. Everybody thought the house was on fire and what the hell was going on. And then a few short days and weeks later, the room was not only back full, arguably the room was more talented than before. And what you have seen through strength and conditioning, summer 1 and summer 2, and now 3 weeks in the fall camp, that has come to bear. When you look at what Dallin Hayden, who transferred in from Ohio State, Charlie Offerdahl, who moved up from walk-in to scholarship, Michael Welch, true freshman, Hood is a freshman as well. When you look at what they've brought to this running back room, I have full confidence in that we will have a run game this year, which is bolstered and augmented by the offensive line. But just as important, if not more important, you have running backs in that room that know how to pass protect and can, before they go out on a route, can chip a rusher or just getting his way and delay him so we can protect the potential Heisman-winning number 1 quarterback in college football this year, Shedeur Sanders.
The other teams, the opposing offenses, how will they run the ball? Let's give a shout out here to, where'd he go? Kay Miller. He wants to talk about North Dakota State. He says they love to run the ball. He wants to know, will the Colorado defense be able to shut that run down week 1?
That is certainly the game plan, and that's certainly the focus. Coach Sapp, Coach Damian Lewis, the defensive line coach, as well as Coach Vincent Dancy, the edge rushers, DN coach, they all believe in one thing, and stopping the run, and that's when you earn the right to rush the quarterback. But our first job is to stop the run, to not give up big runs that were happening last year at crucial moments in game that would turn the tide of the clock or even turn the tide of the game. This defensive line, with its talent, with its size, with its length, with its weight, also with its depth, more importantly, you have interchangeable parts out there now, so no one's getting worn down throughout the game and giving up big runs, in the third or fourth quarter. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. Everyone has been focusing, to some degree, rightly so, on the upgrades of the offensive line, but people out there have been asleep on the changes made at the defensive line and how much better that room has gotten and how deep it has gotten. And it is going to absolutely stop the run, but also get back there to the quarterback as well.
All right, you're watching The Rewind. It's live. I think it's episode 36, if I'm not mistaken, right here on the Pregame Show Network.
36 times with Tolly Carr, 2 of them are live. And whenever I'm with Tolly Carr, I could not pick a better place to be. The only thing that would make it better, Tolly Carr, is next time we go live from the cafeteria so I can eat while we do the show.
Only if you promise not to get any food in your beard. I think that's the only thing that would be distracting.
That's why you have this, Tolly. That's why you keep the lime green cone. It's hard to lose when it's lime green. You keep the cone handy.
Neely, do you ever find, just around the house, maybe eating a little peanut butter and jelly or something with a lot of whole grains in it that you might get a little slippage in your beard there?
Yeah, the beard is a magnet for a nice granola bar, So you can have a granola bar in the morning. You might get another snack mid-morning when you discover that there's a big sizable crumb in there. But it doesn't hold peanut M&Ms well. They tend to fall right on through.
All right. Kay Miller is of the female variety. Kay Miller. Kay, I'm sorry that I assumed you were a man talking about football. There's no excuse. Kay Miller. None.
None.
I got to do better. So, Kay, lovely mind that you have talking about North Dakota State there, and we do apologize for that, Kay. My apologies. Last week, Neely, people were talking about uniforms. What? We're going to have some heat this year. Those helmet combos last year, those uniforms, a lot of excitement about the swag meter. Inside knowledge, Neely?
Yeah, I mean, when you got a guy that's the head coach who is recognized by GQ in the Hall of Fame for his swag, Deion Sanders, Allen Iverson, and I think it was Derek Jeter, the captain, got recognized inaugurally at that class of GQ Hall of Fame athletes. People know he's going to come with the swag, just like he did with the Cowboys fighting 49ers and Falcons. He's going to lay that outfit uniform down on the floor with the shoes, flip to the side, and visualize what we're going to wear that game. We do have new uniforms. There are a nice number of combinations, so much so that in a 12 to 17 week calendar, you probably would not have to repeat the same thing twice if you didn't want to. So some new uniforms on deck, and I think people are going to love them. Not the one, but I think they're going to love them when they start unveiling them.
So are we going to be on a need-to-know game day basis? Or are we going to get a little rollout? What do you think?
I think we can expect a leak, somewhere between North Dakota State and Nebraska on the road. You open with a home game and then you go to a road game, so that gives you two different looks right there. I think that sometimes when you're watching the pregame show on the Pregame Show Network, that when we interview them and one of the coaches, one of the players, if you
Well, welcome back, America. That was interesting. So let me kind of tell you what happened there. So, had a power outage, right? We had a power outage, and
so you say,
yeah, and everything went out, Neely, and as life would have it, you and I did 34 episodes, and we did not have an issue. On our second live episode, the power goes out. And so now I cannot connect to Uncle Neely. Well, I cannot connect to my switcher, right? So I can't switch back and forth between me and Uncle Neely. So I had to make a decision about who we would see. And Mike, Neely, it is me. So let's go through the commentary where we're getting ridiculed a little bit, because I'm all for the self-deprecation. I'm all for the smoke. S&N Services LLC says check 1, check 2. Then he says where he go. Then S&N Services follows that up with the trifecta of pay that cable bill, LOL. S&N Services, I'm going to look up your business and see how you doing. Okay, just kidding. Be happy for them is not happy for us. They say this is ghetto. All right, thank you for that. K. Miller Showing the love, Kay. Kay says Tolly holding it down, the one-man show. And then Be Happy for Them comes back and says, psych, just kidding. So, Neely, we do have a big issue in that I cannot connect. And I was talking junk earlier today where I said, who needs Miles, our normal director, who's been in Tokyo for 3 weeks? I was like, I could switch the show myself right here on the set. And if Miles were here, he could actually switch the show from the control room because the hardware part is working. The software part is not. So I had to eat those words as well. So, Brother Neely, I think
I'm absolutely loving this Tolly Carr.
Listen, it's not that I have any shame, right? It's not that I have any shame at all. It's just kind of funny. And you want to know the funny part? It's not that the electricity went out because of an act of nature, because of an act of God. We have somebody here doing some work, and they just kind of opened up the electrical box and said, I wonder what this button does. And they turned us off live. Like, we were not going live to our thousands, over 100,000 on the Pregame Show Network. And they just thought it'd be a good time to just kind of touch some things in the electrical box. Yes, Neely, who we can't see, but can hear. Go ahead.
Tolly Carr, I have to tell you that I remember being back at a friend's house in the late 80s, early 90s, and he claimed that the cable was out. And so I got to looking around at the TV, and I said, I see what the problem is. Your TV cable ready, but you ain't ready for cable. Like it ain't no line running in yet. So I'm glad you got to pay that light bill through Cash App, and they turned it right back on. And hey, that's part of going live. I love it. So since they can hear me and not see me,
and I'm going to fix this. What I'm going to do, Neely, is I'm going to just walk right back in the control room really quick. And I'm just going to put you on screen because you have all the information. So it would be much better to see and hear you, and just, my kind of bootleg questions just kind of resonate in the background a little bit.
You can't run the two screen like you normally do.
Okay. Do you want the nerdy answer of why not?
Why not?
Because the two box has a graphic layer. And I can't get that graphic layer on the screen without my computer connecting to it. And none of my computers are connecting to our ATEM switcher. Shout out to Black Magic Design. So I can't get the artwork.
That wasn't nobody but Shay Shell, your girlfriend from last week. Miss Dawn Duncan, that was a good one. That was a good one. Told you about clapping back to these people live. She went out there, she found your studio in Atlanta, and she hit your breaker box.
I think she sent her man over here to do it. It's some dude over there. I don't even know who he is. We got some incredible work happening here at the HBCU Game Day Studios. So, Neely, let's go back.
I'm bootlegging. That's what's happening.
We're on a budget, Neely. We're on a budget. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want to go back and ask you a question from last week. I'm going to tip out. I'm going to do the little church thing. I'm going to tip out.
While you tip out, I'm going to let everybody know that in our text messages, I call you BBL Tolly. This is part of the reason why. BBL Tolly. BBL Tolly.
This reminds me of being in college, man. Good old days at Winston-Salem State, where things in the mass comm department would not work, and you just had to make the most out of it. Hence live TV. Two-screen. Unconquerable Detroit. Be quiet. We just explained why we can't two-screen it. I'm not being lazy. The electrical bill is high. The studio is about $3-something a month here. All right, Neely, tell us about the defense from last week. The question that kind of hung in the air was they wanted you to give the defense a nickname. Talk about that. I want to tip out. I want to put you on screen, and you won't see me anymore. Well, I want to crawl under the desk. I don't want you to see me leave, but I don't have a choice. I just got to get up and walk out.
At least you got bottoms on. I don't have a nickname for the defense, but I got a nickname for your operation over there. BBL Tolly is what it is. Somebody in the chat, SCN Services, said that your neighbors, your suite mates, noticed that cord running under your door to their suite using their power, so they unplugged it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Tolly Carr, live. He wanted to go live, y'all. This is what happens when you go live. He loses his electricity. because he's behind on the bill. I try to tell him every time, you got to pay more than just the minimum balance. You got to bump it up some. Like you got to pay that 25 minimum plus like another 30 and put a love note in there.
It's rough. It is rough on an entrepreneur out here, man. It really is. Okay, we're not calling the defense the Big Black D. Get over that. Stop saying that. That's not going to be the name. Okay, that is not what we're doing here. And Neely, you're still on the fence with the name?
Yeah, I haven't come up with one yet. I'm going to ask a couple of players, if they have. I know that sometimes each unit may have a nickname for themselves, but we'll see if there's an overall nickname for the defense developing, and we'll go from there. But the biggest thing we got to do is get this light bill paid out there in Georgia. So if we need to put a cash app on the screen or something, I think it's $
Tolly Carr. You can send cash app. I'm not going to use the money for the power bill. I can tell you that right now. It will go to the grocery store to feed my ravenous 3 children who can eat an entire box of cereal in one day. I can buy a box of cereal on a Monday. On Tuesday, it is sitting beside the trash can empty. Yeah, so that's where any cash app money would be going, to General Mills via Publix. All right, let's try to get this somewhat back on track. Goldberg.
That's not Tyler. I'm not. That now. I'm gonna tell you why that's not. I'm not gonna let that happen. We are off track the rest of the way.
You just want to have a ghetto show the rest of the way. Is that what we're doing? I was trying to go back and be professional.
No, we lost professionalism when the lights went out.
And for the record, I have two UPSs in here. The uninterrupted power supply. I think I just have them in the wrong place. I need to move them around the studio because some things didn't go off, but the main thing that didn't need to go off went off. All right, so I want to talk about Goldberg.
Yeah. One of the things we didn't mention, man, is when I went to the practice in Denver, I rode over with Goldberg. You talk about, being the biggest wrestling fan that I am and remembering the undefeated streak to ride over to Denver with him and the conversations that we had in the car and subsequently rode back with him as well. Just a legendary moment in the life of sports in Neely, hanging out with Bill Goldberg, for a 30-minute drive, an hour back and forth. And the stories he could tell. And get this, Tyler, while we were riding back, Diamond Dallas Page called him on the phone.
Really? All right, quick. 6 degrees of separation. My oldest daughter's friend's mom is neighbors with Diamond Dallas Page.
I like that.
Not her best friend, just a teammate on the basketball team, fellow cheerleader on the cheer team. They got way more money than we do, and they live beside or in the same neighborhood as DDP.
I like the way you counted those separations. Let me respond to something Unconquerable Detroit said. And whether you're from Detroit or in Detroit, shout out to Motown. Love some Detroit. Who is the unsung hero in practices? A great question. I'm going to go with edge rusher Taj McCoy or either linebacker Jeremiah Brown. I don't think they've gotten enough, off-season shine and mentions as far as preseason awards or that kind of thing goes. But they have really made a name for themselves this summer in fall camp. And I think they're going to be starting and getting playing time and/or playing time more than other people would have expected because they have really showed up this offseason and put in the work.
All right. Miles, we talked about the new defensive senior analyst earlier in the show. That's in the comments. So go back and watch this Off the Rails episode, and you can check that out. I think, Neely, it's back to a certain degree. I'm not going to be able to fix our little 2-box because, that went to hell. But we can at least switch back and forth. All right, Neely. So did you nerd out? You're riding in the car with Bill Goldberg, one iconic wrestler from the world of sports entertainment. Did you ask any like crazy questions? Like I don't know if I would have been able to like fully contain myself being a wrestling
No,
fan.
absolutely not, man. It was really just two dads talking. We talked a lot of fatherhood stuff and raising younger kids compared to yourself, but older kids, adult kids in their 20s or whatnot, and how things have changed generationally, but yet remain the same. So it was just literally two dads vibing and talking and talking about the good old days, of course. So no time to nerd out or spaz out a fan out. I've sat down with him before. He's been on the pregame show, so it wasn't my first time being around him in detail like that. So open book, man. I tell you what, we will get Bill Goldberg once you pay that balance on the light bill. We will get Goldberg on the pregame show Rewind live in the next couple of weeks. How about that? We'll get him to join us.
Okay, and to the guy that turned off my power switch, I'd love to do the jackhammer. What was it? The jackhammer. The jackhammer. Let me put myself back on camera. You pick them up. You hold them. You let that blood go to the head, and boom, boom. That's what I would like to do to the young man. Neely, Roman Reigns is back finally. Are you digging it? He had been gone since WrestleMania. He is back on SmackDown for like the last 3 weeks. Came back at SummerSlam. Are you digging it? Big Roman Reigns fan?
Yeah, I'm always digging when the storylines adapt and keep going, man. I love it. Wrestling is real, life is fake.
I like it. I think they need to do something new.
Let me do this one real quick.
Yeah.
Red Zone SKO. Who out of the CB's rooms is surprising you the most? What I love out of the cornerback room, of course, just a bright spot in Preston Hodge, who's joined us, and then with having Preston Hodge, what you can do with now Travis Hunter as well. But who I really like, because people didn't get to see what he was really capable of because he was playing with an injury, particularly in the latter part of the season. Carter Stottmeyer is back, healthy 100%. He's a big body corner that can also play safety. And at practice, the Stottmeyer-Will Shepherd battles, have been something to behold. It's a big body receiver against a big body corner, and they really go at each other and bring the best out of each other. Will haven't played in the SEC. Carter was here last year as a freshman, has completely rehabbed that injury. He's 100% healed, not only physically but mentally, and no issues with the shoulder at all. So I'm looking for Carter Stottmeyer to make some noise this season and show people what he's truly capable of.
All right, Neely, we're coming up very, very soon. We're, a week and a day away, something like that, from first game of the year. What can you look back at last year, look at this year, and say, this feels tangibly different today than it did 365 days ago?
All of it. Organizationally, it's different. You have two new coordinators on the defense and offense side of the ball, so both of those things are different. Schematically, the energy in the building is different. Going into last year, you still had people on the team that were from the original team, if you will, and so they were kind of a mixed chemistry taking place. Now there's more synergy. Everybody is more like-minded on what we can accomplish. The other thing going into week one last year, remember, we were going into TCU playing number 21 team in the country, and they were favored by 21 plus points. This year you're playing down a bowl division with North Dakota State coming to your place. So we have a home game open this season, but they're number 2 in the nation in the division that they play in. So you're not playing a slouch by any means. So it's a lot of different dynamics to it that make this just a completely different team, completely different season. You can't help but go back and talk about, the stats from last year, the records from last year, the players from last year. But I think everybody's going to see in weeks 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and beyond that this is not last year's team, organizationally, coaching staff, and talent from the players.
All right, so for the last couple of seasons, you go to Jackson State, you go to Colorado, give me my theme music. And we've had a couple of different variations. When the give me my theme music drops, same theme music as last year? Do we have to flip it every year?
I will tell you this, Tolly. This is my 5th season, going into my 5th season with Coach Brian, and this is the longest that I have gone not knowing what the theme music is. We are, a day and a week away from the first game. And so I have not heard from him what's going to be played when he says, give me my theme music. So all roads, then that would indicate maybe there's not going to be a change this year, but that would be surprising as well. So if he has changed it, he's keeping it close to the vest this go around.
Is it an impulsive kind of decision? Is it just something that you feel, something that's in the air? Are there any telltale signs that you can pick up on that a change might be coming to? Give me my theme music.
I haven't. Of course, we play a lot of his song with Yella Beezy and Snoop Dogg around here, but he hadn't indicated that's going to be the song. I'm literally clueless, Tolly. Can't wait to see what gets played before it gets played. Now, when I find out before then, of course, you'll hear it on the Pregame Show Network and the Rewind. But we got about 8 days away, so not a lot of time.
So the leading contenders, real quick in the chat, going back to Mystical, that's what Terrell757 says. Johnny and Jennifer, two separate people. No, I'm sorry. Jennifer wants Mystical as well. Johnny says Must Be the Money remix. That Mystical hits hard, but you guys are making shows and content. You got to think about licensings and clearance and other things.
Oh yeah, so. There's so much that goes into it. You nailed it, Tolly, particularly with the licensing, because what gets played when he says "Give me my theme music" is also part of the documentary. It's a part of the Pregame Show Network and Well Off and Reach the People, and so there are some layers that have to take place before you can just play what you want to play, because we make sure that the artist has bought into it as well. But I'm sure it'll all get worked out. It will all get worked out. And when he says, give me my theme music, something from damn sure is going to get played.
Well, you know who wants Coach Prime to go back to Mystical more than anybody else? Mystical.
That was a good one. I loved it.
He would love for, I'm sure, not counting another man's money situation in life.
Let me say this to Master Stick Work out there. Master Stick Work, when he says Bone Crusher, Never Scared. I'm all for Never Scared, but it has to be the Reese and Bigelow, the original version out of Mississippi, that Bone Crusher was a guest on before he jacked the song and stole it from him and made it his. Shout out to Reese and Bigelow, Mississippi guys who created Never Scared.
Little known Black History fact here in August. Neely, Chris Evans, going back up in the timeline, the chat, whatever you call it, timeline, I guess. Let's see if I pronounce this right. I want you to see the strain on my face here, America. Anguilla, Mississippi? Anguilla? Chris?
That's correct, yeah, Anguilla.
Okay. He challenged me to pronounce it. You spent some days, nights in Anguilla before, Neely?
Yeah, man. Anguilla, look, let me tell you this. Everybody want to go to, the Maldives, the islands, and want to go to, San Tropez and all that stuff, man. Spend you a weekend in Anguilla, Mississippi, and you will know good living. Go down there on that river. Go down there to the house on the bank with one TV and a deep fish fry. You ain't lived till you've been in Anguilla, Mississippi.
Are we talking the Mississippi Delta there, or are we going to get some good red mud down there?
Oh yes, it's the Mississippi Delta. If you're cutting across, it's right there with Yazoo City. If you're coming up, is north of Vicksburg, around that Rolling Fork, Pantherburn, Little Yuma, all them good places. God's country, what they call it.
So what it sounds like, I'm from Eastern North Carolina. We have our fair share of God's country there as well, Neely.
Y'all got a Pantherburn? Right outside.
There are two cities. Neely, there's a Raleigh, Mississippi, right? Isn't there Raleigh, Mississippi?
There is.
Yeah. More than once. The first time I went to Jackson State, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, or that was my second stop in life. And I saw the sign for Raleigh, Mississippi. I was like, oh, snap. Look at that. Neely, let's go off the rails a little bit more. I went and did something. I did something this week, something that's in your wheelhouse. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it yet. When it dropped, I was transitioning back to Boulder for camp and have not had an off day or an evening where I had the energy to go to the theaters. I'm gonna probably just end up watching it on the Disney app. But everybody in my text group, went to see it without me and loved it. So I cannot wait to see it because I have banned myself from looking at all the cameo appearances.
Yes. I only saw one online before I went to see it, and I was like, "Oh man, why'd you spoil it?" But there were so many more that I was not aware of. So it is cameo rich. I went yesterday while my children were at school. I have to sneak away and have daddy time, and like yesterday was like the last day before football takes over my life. So it was like the last opportunity of the summer to go do something before it's work. I should have paid the light bill yesterday. But anyway, I went to the movies, and here's my question for you, Neely. I'm not a big fan of breaking the fourth wall, and obviously that's what Deadpool does. Is it a little too much for you? Is it too much fourth wall breaking? Or are you all in on that fourth wall being torn down?
No, you have to do it with a Deadpool character because that's how it is in the comics, in the books. And I know that the cinematic universe is different from the comic book universe. I get that, but you still have to have enough synergy where the characters can be themselves and translate, in verse in each medium, whether it's the books or the big screen. And so Deadpool has always done it. He's always talked to the audience, if you will, and that has to be a main staple of everything that he does. I could understand someone who's not used to it, thinking it's a bit too much. But it really, from my perspective, immerses you into the content, and you're part of the story when they stop and talk to you like that.
All right, I'll buy that. I like getting lost in a movie, just kind of 2 hours where you can just go brain dead and not be aware of where you are. But Deadpool makes you very aware that you're sitting in a movie theater because he's talking about all the things that happens when you break the fourth wall. Neely, where do you think the Marvel universe sits right now? There are all sorts of storylines and things just everywhere with all the TV shows, the movies. I feel like there are so many loose ends that I don't know if they're ever going to join back together into any sort of synergetic timeline or arc of a story, if you will.
Oh, it's going to get there, Tolly. Particularly with you having different factions who have owned the X-Men or owned Spider-Man, and now that all that is getting cleared up and you got the connectivity back, even what happened with our good brother, he could no longer play Kane. You can still shift from that series to where they're going with the Secret Wars and bringing in, Tony Stark, Anthony Downey Jr., if you will, as Doctor Doom, which is something that happened in the comic book. So, man, there's so many Marvel stories out there. They will never run out. They can keep this going, for another 30 years.
I'm wondering, at what point it's been, it doesn't feel that long, but it's what, 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in there, where they, started this modern version of Marvel. Will we get to a point where everything needs to be rebooted and we just start the origin stories all over again? Spoiler alert, one thing Deadpool did say over and over is they're going to make Hugh Jackman play Wolverine now that Disney has it till he's 90 years old. We've already killed off Iron Man. At any point, will we just kind of start from scratch, you think, in our lifetimes?
You certainly can, as actors age or contracts age. With CGI and AI, there are ways around, that facial stuff. But you certainly can, because once they explained and brought the multiverse into the movies, anything is possible. I mean, because you have these infinite number of Earths, these infinite number of universes where different people that from one thing or a different thing in the other universe. I tell you what I want to see, Tolly. I want to go to a multiverse and see BBL Tolly when his lights do not go out in the middle of a live stream. I want to meet that Tolly.
Excuse me, America, as I pull the blade from my back here.
In the universe where Tolly does not have his lights go out, there's a Neely who also misses meals.
No, it doesn't work like that, Neely. It does not work like that. You do not get to give me an overhand right followed by an uppercut and then come back and say, oh, we were just playing with your little self-deprecating little joke there. It doesn't work like that, Neely.
I was trying to help you out. I mean, my lights are on. I don't know what's going on with you.
I mean, if you're gonna rub it in, man, like go all the way. I will tell you this though, Neely. There was the trailer that plays before the movie. Of course, I was late. I told my wife, I said, honey, I'm sneaking off to the movies. She's very busy. She had no interest in going. Even if she wasn't busy, she probably doesn't want to go see a Deadpool movie. Movie started at 1:45, Neely. She was still talking to me around 1:40. Fully aware of, I got this ticket in my hand for a 1:45 movie. So I didn't get there until about 2:05. But previews being as they are, previews were still going on, so I didn't miss anything. But they're doing Gladiator 2 with Denzel Washington. I am here for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one as well. Gladiator was a classic. Looking forward to that continued story with these new characters in it, new actors, if you will. So I'm going to make sure I catch that one, Tom.
Miss Dawn Duncan says,
"Hey, shout out, Tolly. Yeah. Shout out before your lights go out again. Shout out to my man Reef, who I don't know in real life, but Reef said my nerd is coming out. The Multiverse saga is supposed to end with one focused timeline for the Mutant Saga. See, that's a guy I can hang out with because he gets it. These storylines, like you really haven't even got into the Sentinels hunting down all the mutants. You haven't got into like the Fantastic Four.
We have gotten into the Fantastic Four. They have flopped that about 4 times already.
No, I'm talking about gotten into it with the right connectivity. So you got to remember, once upon a time, Disney didn't have the rights to all of this like they do now.
Right, yeah.
They didn't have Spider-Man and the X-Men, and they just had one segment of it. Now they got all of it, and you can do it right. So you're going to have Galactus come eat the Earth, with the Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four teaming up with Spider-Man or the X-Men or whoever. They're going to all be able to be in the same movie, which is why this content cannot be exhausted.
I need Miles Morales live action. I think they've done a great job with those. I know it's not Marvel, it's Sony, but those Miles Morales animated movies have been super, in my opinion. So, who do we cast? Which brother gets to play the live action Miles Morales? And it can't be Kevin Hart. Who will it be?
Okay, Kevin Hart would be too old and too short. Oh man, I don't know enough young actors by name, but hey, the good thing is with it being Disney's base, they got their finger on their pulse. A live action Miles Morales would be dope, man.
I'm for it. I don't even remember a black Spider-Man growing up, but at some point it became a thing. I guess it was always a thing. I just didn't become aware of it. So I am there for it. Neely, let's close things out with some true Colorado football talk, as we've just been all over the place. The lights have gone out. I lost my 2-box. People in the comments have been giving us the business. Travis Hunter. We could talk about him every week. We don't talk about him enough. How much is Travis going to ball out this year based on the standard that we have of what he can do as a two-way player? You talked about him coming back bigger, stronger, as fast, at least you've said that, by his own standard. What are your expectations starting with North Dakota State?
To test every light on the scoreboard, to shut down the receiver on the opposing side with his own defense. I'm looking for a pick and a pick six. One of the amazing things that happened this fall camp was to watch a scrimmage next to Bun B. Bun B, one of the co-founders of UGK, rest in peace, Pimp C, Port Arthur, Texas, down there in Fifth Ward, Houston area. Bun B, who brought the Trio Burgers here to Boulder, we're standing there shoulder to shoulder watching Shador and Travis work, the one offense against the 2 defense. And 2 touchdowns later, Bun B turned to me and said, man, this shit is just like a video game. Like that, you can't stop him. And it is just that simple, just that true. I'm looking for Travis to have a breakout season. Both of these guys, the quarterback and Shador Sanders, the receiver / cornerback and Travis Hunter, are going to be early mentions in the Heisman Trophy race. What derailed them last year, frankly, was not so much their individual stats, is that those kind of awards only go to the best players who are also on winning teams. That's an unwritten rule. The Heisman Trophy is supposed to be the best player in college football, but it's ... Your team has to also be winning. So these guys are not really focused on those individual awards. They're focused on having a winning program, getting to a bowl game, getting to the Big 12 championship game and or beyond. And I think that will happen with the stats that they're able to put out there. We have yet to see what Travis Hunter can do for a full, complete season. He ain't ranked 99 on EA Sports College football for nothing. The dude is all that and then some, and he still has not, reached his peak speed, his peak strength. He's still learning, the nuances of route running. Jason Phillips, wide receiver coach, is working with him a lot on that. He can roll out of bed and play defense, man-to-man coverage, and lock down, a whole side of the field. But once he improves, getting in and out of those routes and those breaks, I think that is really what's going to propel his, career to the next level as a top pick in the first round. Would be what they see from him this year as a receiver as it relates to that two-way player. We've seen what he can do, night in and night out, Saturday in, Saturday out from the cornerback position. But I think people are going to be wild when they see how he is really fine-tuned and improved as a receiver.
All right, you heard it from the man, Uncle Neely. Guys, I'm so glad that we had this time together. It is the Pregame Show Network. This is The Rewind. It is live, our second time out of the gates live. And anything can happen, and today was a testament that anything will happen. If you're just tuning in, you missed the hot mess. The power went out. I couldn't connect to the switcher. I came back on set. I then had to leave once we came back on. I had to take ridicule in the comments about the inability to pay the power bill. So it's just been one of those moments. But Neely, I think that's pretty consistent with our working relationship and what our conversations are like, wide-ranging. We might talk about comic books. We might talk about football. We're definitely going to give each other the business. So I think today was just atypical of real life with me and you.
It absolutely was. This is how life with BBL Tolly works. The lights are going to go out. We're going to diss each other like we don't like each other. But I think it was a great live show for the second time. Shout out to the 402 people who got on the post lights out show. Shout out to them. Hope that you are liking and subscribing. I got a couple things got to mention before we get out of here, Tom.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, again, from Unconquerable Detroit, because I, too, am a big Star Wars guy. Watch everything that is dropped, even the bad ones. Just found out, Unconquerable, that they're not going to do a season 2 of The Acolyte, with the twin girls.
Yeah, I just saw that.
They're canceling that one already. And then I got to say this to Kay Miller about football. He says Travis.
Neely.
Yeah.
We've been through this.
I'm sorry. You're right. Travis Preston on the field is going to be insane. Let me tell you this. Travis Hunter and Preston Hodge, when they're out there together, it is so much freelancing and speed because they can cover anywhere. It is going to give offenses a big headache when they're on the field at the same time, which will be a lot because their skill set, their IQ, having them out there together, it is a blessing for them to be on this team at the same time. Y'all going to see some special things out of Preston Hodge and Travis Hunter when they're out there in the secondary together. It is going to be, chess moving around, strategic things, because just when you think you're open, those guys can get to that other hash and you don't see it coming.
Neely, there's so many things we didn't talk about this week. Got thrown off track a little bit. Let's promise the people that we're going to keep it interesting. And, these were kind of pseudo-serious topics, and I just felt like we just might as well stay in silly mode once the power went out. I want to talk about these.
No, you started off that we were going to be in silly mode when you brought back the cross colors. Shout out to Tolly and the cross colors. I love it. There's really not no shade. I'm waiting on you to send me a 3X cross color or something, but to bring the 90s back on your own, shout out to Tolly Carr.
Well, what else would you expect from BBL Tolly? But to bring out some cross colors. I got about 3 or 4 of them in the closet.
You got some Carl Kanai jeans on there?
I never had Carl Kanai. I had gasoline jeans. Remember the two-tone ones? They were like gray on one side and like blue on the other. I never had Jordache. I felt like those were like kind of jeans for the ladies. But as a little boy, I loved it when the ladies wore Jordache. They were kind of tight.
K Miller said, "That's it. I'm adding a profile pic. Like it's enough of this gender bias."
Okay. I mean, K, you could spell it just K-A-Y Miller or K-A-I, but the K, I just kind of thought Kevin. Like it feels like it would be Kevin Miller. Levi's, I was big on Levi's. Never wore Wranglers. We used to call Wranglers Stranglers, but now these young boys will just wear Stranglers all the time. So maybe I should have had some. But next week, I do want to talk about, or next time we get together, because sometimes we do this more than once a week. All these programs, Neely, naming new brothers as GMs of their football programs. I think that's a very interesting conversation. Some social dynamics that we can get into. I thought Tua calling out Flores was interesting when you look at historic relationships, successful historic relationships between quarterback and coaches. And were they best of friends? Were they nice to one another? Were they kind of, on edge? There's some things there to discuss. I think those topics will hold for maybe a few days. So we'll get into some more stuff as the rewind continues to evolve throughout the season. Sound like a plan, Neely? And I got to go pick up my kids, so I can't just talk to you all afternoon.
Yeah, and don't forget to put those Lee jeans on when you go get them.
L-E-E. Hey, Kay says they used to snatch the patches off of the Lee jeans in New York City. They didn't do that in North Carolina, but Lee was the little brother of Levi. But it all comes around. All right, Neely, I'm just gonna fade to black. Let's get out of here. Sound good to you?
The only thing I got to say as we leave is me and my brother couldn't go out at the same time because a pair of jeans as his was a pair of jeans as mine.
And that is the rest of the story.